You know me, SDMT. Let's get it, baby. We back. No cap, straight facts podcast, man. It's been a minute, but I've been wanting to get back to my podcast so we can get it back lit and I can bring that fire to the people because I know y'all want to be locked in to the podcast, man. I got some great topics today. A lot of big sports news came out. I'm gonna be getting into it and just getting it out there, letting you guys know my take on a lot of what's going on in the sports world. Some huge news is going on, man. So make sure you hit that like, subscribe, turn on my notifications, man. And shout out to the gang, everybody that stays locked in, man, because I'm bringing that fire, man. We had some huge news in college sports, man. The Ncaa came out with some rule changes, man. This is so huge right here. I'm so lit and happy that college athletes will be able to get paid and earn based off their name, their celebrity, also their likeness and their image. So we had a lot of players that used to get you lose their amateurism, not be able to play college football or get suspended for signing things, selling jerseys. It was a lot of different scandals from Ohio State getting tattoos for signing memorabilia. Johnny Manziel was signing stuff. He got caught and he got suspended for a while. Todd Gurley. So there's been a lot of pressure on the NCAA for taking advantage of these young athletes for so long. Even a recent coach came out and said, he doesn't blame the players when these coaches are making millions. These players want some of that too because the whole, cover up of it's about education. If it was about education, these coaches wouldn't be making 10, 15, and $20 million a year for coaching these college athletes. They're the highest paid people on these campuses, more than the presidents and the teachers. So the ideology that, money isn't a factor is just so false. It's so capped, you know what I mean? It's so capped. And this is so huge because in a recent Supreme Court hearing about dealing with the NCAA, the judge said that the NCAA has long enough been benefited off these players without having to play them employees for a long time. So there's been a lot of pressure coming on the NCAA. There were some recent law changes in Texas and Florida and a few other major states that was going to allow these athletes also to be paid so the NCAA wouldn't be able to control that. So they had to make this change. They got a lot of pressure from outside lawmakers and also the Supreme Court. So they had to make these changes. So this is so huge, man. We got to look at this and what this means for college players and also past players. Reggie Bush came out, he tweeted, look what we have here. We look at Reggie Bush, his college career. He was one of the biggest stars in college football. He could have made millions, man, but they ended up, taking his Heisman Trophy from him, banning him from USC for like 5 years, which is crazy, man. He earned that Heisman Trophy with his abilities, and he was one of the most lit and exciting college players ever, and his family needed a place to live, which I guess, some person that was linked to an agent got a home for his mom to stay in, which is crazy. You got these athletes, a lot of them come from poverty in the hood, and, they have these great abilities that they owe for 4 years or 3 years. You can't make any money off of them, so your family has to struggle while you're in college, which hurt a lot of athletes, and a lot of athletes weren't able to play college football because they had to help their family instead of playing college football because they couldn't make money. So now this is so awesome. Athletes can train their butt off and, build their fame and celebrity, and they can have YouTube channels. They can make appearances. They can sign, memorabilia. They can get endorsements. They can have their own shoe. They can do commercials. This is so awesome, and this is what capitalism is all about, allowing you to make money off of your abilities and your just overall rareness. You know what I mean? So this is so huge and so big, man. So this is such a win for young college athletes. This is going to be interesting. A lot of people talk about how agents are going to be dealing with players, and the NCAA is making some rules with that. But at the end of the day, this is a big win for college football athletes. Yes, some athletes are going to make a lot more than others. This is going for pretty much all the major sports, but it's based off your popularity and what you can demand. And if you're Reggie Bush or Tim Tebow or one of these superstar players, they're going to be millionaires. They're going to be making millions in big bags. You know what I mean? Coach going to be like, man, sit down. I'm like, man, you sit down. I make more than you. You know what I'm saying? This is going to be lit, man. I'm super happy for the players and just for the game and for, America, because this was definitely something that was going on for so long, and it was definitely hurting a lot of people, hurting a lot of families, hurting a lot of players from those abilities. Like, these players started purposely, doing these things, whether it's Johnny Manziel or Todd Gurley, you're doing these things purposely because they were just trying to get to the league, you know what I mean? And they didn't want to, and they understood it was unfair what the Ncaa was doing. They make billions off these bowl games and these TV deals. Where's all this money going? You know what I mean? They're taking it all in. You don't have to pay the players anything. You just let them live in your house, give them that education, which education is amazing, but you got players that have been injured and never, were able to finish their education, or some of them did, or some of them never got to get their pro career. So you can be a popular college player, get paid millions, and if you get hurt, you still have some money and some education to help your life and your family. And that's what it's all about, man. So this is huge news. I'm so happy for all the young athletes. This is huge for you. Go get you a YouTube. Go build your name. You know what I mean? Come out with some clothing line. Go learn about business. And this is a great opportunity for young athletes to learn how to create their own businesses and monetize themselves and how to market themselves and go out there and get these deals and learn how to make money. And that's what you should be learning how to do, because if these athletes are learning at a younger age how to deal with money, they'll have a lot of less problems as they get older. We saw a lot of athletes go to the NFL, and what happened? They went to the NFL and then, they lost all this money because they just got thrown all this money at one time and they just couldn't handle it. So I was saying that, this could help with money management for young athletes. So I am for this. I'm happy, and this is just a big celebration for the young athletes, man. You can get paid, you can get your money, and you can learn how to market yourself. So this is huge. Yeah, everything comes with, something else. A positive comes with a negative. So it's going to be a lot of extra things going on, but at the end of the day, this was necessary for these athletes to get paid and be able to get paid based off their name, their likeness, and who they are, so they can help their families and themselves. So huge news. I'm for this. I'm a big fan of this, and hopefully you are too. But let's get to the next topic, man. What I want to talk about is Jake Paul, man. Jake Paul had another opportunity to roast Dana White, man. This is huge. A lot of people hate on Jake Paul, and I get it. You know what I mean? This kind of goofy YouTuber. People hate YouTubers. I don't know why, because you mad you work a regular job, and these people make millions by just being able to go in front of camera and just, be entertaining. But, you know what I mean? Maybe we have that in common. But Jake Paul, man, he came out and he took a shot at Dana White for one of the UFC fighters, a female fighter, making a GoFundMe so she can have enough money to support her training, man. And that's sad right there. That is really sad. And Jake Paul said he donated to this young lady, and he also said, imagine an NBA rookie having to do a GoFundMe so they can play in the NBA, man. That is so sad right there, man. Jake Paul is killing Dana White, and you can see why Dana White hates Jake Paul. Even Randy Couture came out and said if it takes somebody like Jake Paul to put the pressure or to come at Dana White, then he's a necessary evil. And you know what I mean? A lot of these MMA fans and fighters aren't smart enough to understand that Jake Paul is a good thing, and what he's doing by calling out Dana White is huge. You know what I mean? Putting that pressure on him to pay his fighters better, to support them, allow them to get sponsors and endorsements and things of that nature when it comes to the shorts and things like that. But Dana White has been taking advantage of fighters for so long, and nobody's been able to really say anything. Because as a UFC fighter, if you do say anything, they can just kick you out. You know what I mean? And we've seen guys try to go back and forth to Dana White, and they either get kicked out, they don't get the fights they want, and they don't get paid the way they want. So, you know what I mean? Somebody like Jake Paul calling out Dana White, man, I'm all for it, man. Pay these fighters, man. They work too hard. They sacrifice their bodies, their health to, you know what I mean, entertain the fans, man. And if you are a true fan of MMA, you should definitely want the fighters to get paid for them putting on that show for you. You know what I mean? If you care about the fighters, some people care more about the business, and people like Dana White more than the fighters. And if you are that, you are what we call a casual goofy, so you can raise up on out of here, man. So Jake Paul has this huge fight coming with Tyron Woodley, and it's going to be big, man. This is definitely a legit, challenge for Jake Paul, and this is an opportunity for Tyron Woodley to, make good on his career, get a win, and help his image in the MMA community by beating Jake Paul and helping people, see Jake Paul lose. But if Woodley loses, man, this is going to be just horrendous for his career, man. He's already lost 5 in a row. Losing Jake Paul, his whole legacy is going to be tainted. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But when it comes to Jake Paul and, Dana White, that little battle right there that's going on, it is awesome, man. And it's awesome to see somebody like Jake Paul, who's a millionaire, who doesn't need Dana White, call him out, because nobody else has the balls to do it. And they don't want to deal with, the ramifications of Dana White, doing these behind the scene things to hurt their career. So big shout out to Jake Paul for putting that pressure on Dana White, man. I love it, man, because we already seen recently Francis Ngannou, man. They did an interim belt because Francis Ngannou couldn't fight in August, so Dana White decided to do a interim match between Cyril Gane, and Derek Lewis for that interim belt, which is weird. When we look at it, man, I tell you this, Stipe, will go on long hiatuses without defending his belt. But when it comes to Francis, Dana White wasn't having it. You know what I mean? Dana White definitely plays hardball when it comes to the brothers. You can tell he'll be a little more passive with other athletes, but the brothers, he plays hardball. You know what I mean? So, even Francis Ngannou's manager came out, and he showed that Dana White was lying, and some of the things that Dana White was saying weren't true. And Dana White came back and tried to blast him, but I don't really trust Dana White, man. He's a liar, and he's somebody that's always looking out for his best benefit. So I'm definitely on Francis' side. There should not be an interim belt match, but if there is, okay, let Gane fight Derek Lewis. See how that goes. That's kind of going to hurt Derek Lewis from his opportunity to get the real belt and fight Francis. But hey, you know what I mean? If he gets paid and he gets that interim belt and that's what he wants, that's what it is. You know what I mean? So let's get to the next topic. All right. Conor and Dustin, man. You know what I mean? Recently, Conor made a comment that aimed at Dustin, saying the first one to shoot is a Dusty big. You know what I mean? Pretty much saying that the first person to try to go for a takedown or to grapple is a weenie. You know what I mean? Is weak. You know what I mean? Which is just Conor trying to manipulate Dustin into playing his game of, just using all his tools. Just use the toolbox that I feel that I'm better at and I can take advantage and get the win. But when it comes down to it, Dustin came out. He said this is a mixed martial arts. This is about all the tools. You know what I mean? And you need to be able to use all your tools in mixed martial arts, which he pretty much sunned Conor right there, because Conor was making a weak attempt to take advantage of Dustin. Also, showing that, he's insecure with his full fighting, toolbox. You know what I mean? We look at Dustin. If Dustin goes out there and uses all his grappling, his kicks, his punches, he's the better, more well-rounded fighter. He has an awesome ground game as well. So if it goes to the ground, Dustin has a huge advantage on the ground. You know what I mean? So Conor trying to, take advantage, play little mind games with Dustin, but Dustin ends up winning that. You know what I mean? And if he goes into this match and doesn't get KO'd in the first 2 rounds, things highly favored Dustin, because Dustin has shown he can have a better gas tank. He can last in big fights later, and he's a tough guy. So the thing about Conor is he hit Dustin with some great shots in that second fight, but he couldn't finish him. So that kind of tells you right there that he may not have the power, because Dustin is a bigger man at 155. So we're going to see about that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments about that. And the last thing I want to get to, man, Coronado High School in San Diego, man. Coronado High School, man. And the basketball CIF championship, one of the coach's friends thought it would be funny to throw tortillas on the court at Orange Glen High School after they lost the match. And the coach was fired for this, and recently the CIF made them vacate their championship, which is huge. I applaud them because there needs to be a consequence for ignorance, man. This is not right. These are kids, man. People act like they care about kids, especially, the right-wing people that act like they care about kids and all this, but you're going to go and do racist attacks at kids, man. That's not cool, man. Whoever thought that was a good idea is a moron, and anybody trying to cover it up or try to make it look like it's light of this is not cool, man. These are kids going out there trying to play basketball, trying to enjoy their high school time, and for you to throw tortillas in a racist manner to make them feel uncomfortable with themselves is disgusting and despicable act to do that at kids, or to do that at anyone, but especially kids, man. I'm very protective of kids, and I do not like when people do things of that nature. If you're gonna do that, you shouldn't do it at all. But to do it at adults, for somebody that can handle you and you can handle that in an adult situation. Doing that at kids is just low, man. It's the lowest of the low. So they had to vacate their championship because of their ignorance. At the end of the day. Also, I've had experience with people I know, and I've been to Coronado. It's a different place. It's definitely a military part of San Diego, and it's definitely not the most diverse area, I will say. And a lot of people have these views or these beliefs or biases or prejudices and ignorance towards people of color or different cultures, which is sad because that makes a lot of good people over there look bad. And hopefully, this is something that will get under control and won't happen again, because this is unacceptable, man. These are kids, man. You imagine being a teenager and, somebody throws something at you or does something racist towards you like that, and you lost the game, and you know what I mean? Who knows? Those kids reacted well, but it could have turned into a violent situation. You know what I mean? I love Latin women. You know what I mean? Odds are my kid might be Mexican. If I had a kid on the basketball team and you threw a tortilla at him, it'd be a wrap. You know what I'm saying? We'd be getting busy. You know what I mean? I'd make a whole meal out of you, and I ain't playing about my kid. You know what I'm saying? That's how I would be. But at the end of the day, man, it's just a horrible act. Shout out to the CIF for taking charge of it. The city's coming out. People are protesting because acts like this don't need to be tolerated, man. In these recent several years, it's been so many racist acts and things going on and about, and people trying to make it cool or make it acceptable. But no, we're not going to allow that. We're not going to let that be acceptable. You know what I mean? We're trying to move on in the world, you know what I mean, and get over things of that nature. But you already know, man, I'm glad to be back, man. No Cap, Straight Facts podcast is back. I'm back at it tomorrow. Stay locked in. You know what I mean? Shout out to everybody that subscribed, that has my notifications on. That's a real grinder, man. I love y'all. I do it for y'all. So just stay locked in. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. And that's a wrap on SDMT.